Hey, welcome for the Speed Family. Another episode again. I'm excited. This is the first episode. So today we have one of the greatest people in the basketball um fraternity. It's such an honor to have this legend, Mr. Renaldo Cortez. It's the gates, an honor. We're so grateful that you invited us to your like we just wanted to start just tell us for those that do not know who Renaldo Cortez is. Tell us about your background when you started from the field. Well, in short, starting in Cleveland, Ohio, 1972. Well, it was a good year because I was born, of course. But I grew up in the city. I was a special kind of kid. So I was born at 25 and a half weeks. Well, lived in the glass box. Uh, Crossed over 7 times into the glass box, and they brought me back. And yeah, interesting childhood. I was on Ritalin medication, so I didn't fit into the Northern groups. I was a special. It was a common special needs in the Titan. I was not butler for a beer, but I was very observant. Well, very active in sports. Parochial school childhood, traditional family, if you will, mother, father, my sister and I. Uh, then I went to parochial school for 7 years. From there, I went to public school and school called Rockville in Cleveland Heights. So we went from the hood in Cleveland to the suburbs. My father worked a lot of jobs, ex-Vietnam bred Navy SEAL. So I grew up in a military house. So from there, high school, Cleveland Heights High School. Started playing basketball when I was small, third grade. And Coach Christopher Gray, his little brother Stephen, we were best friends, so from Jamaica. And he was the first black man that I got to see who played collegiately in basketball and was a college graduate. Well, and he was very tall, and he used to teach fundamentals. So for me, system, to be free but to have system, was really good for me. So, so to y'all, no, it's fun. So sorry about that, guys. um, that discipline was very fundamental. Like I always remember Chris because he taught me how to use my gifts. He knew I was autistic, but never spoke it, and I wasn't different then. And then from high school, graduated. I went to community college in Minnesota North. Joined the United States Army. They were trying to send me to Iraq to go to war, which there was, there's no draft at that time. So I was refusing to fight a war against people who look like you. I won that case, of course, but I had to fight. And then college football, I played there. U.S. football as a middle linebacker. So I played every sport. I'm giving kind of a general rundown just to the fabric of what made me. There's much more. But then I left Minnesota after Ku Klux Klan burned across my yard. And the hunter dog got down in the snow. Caught her. And I was the fastest one in the team. So I actually caught her. When I caught this guy, I looked him in the eyes. It was a kid, a young guy. Cried. There was a dive. And peed on the soft. And I was like, no, man, no, this dude don't want to fight. He don't want. Yeah. And some of the team guys were like, nah, beat him, those Nephews brothers out blood. Like, no, you beat him. I don't beat men that cry. Obviously this dude made a mistake, but I grew up with people who were less melanated than myself. My bloodline is mixed blood, so where I'm a Red Indian, Patch and Cherokee, and Blackfoot, Bantu, and bloodless Ethiopian blood in there, and Jordan French and English. So I'm a pie, with different ingredients. People do things from pain and hatred, Sports was a way for me to deal with the hurt and pain and hatred that I felt during journey. And it was a different path. Left that college, went to Cleveland, played for Cahill Community College, um, which was a blessed opportunity. A lot of ball players, a lot of hood dudes from around different cities in America, some of the best players in the country. But, you know, in the basketball world, you know, it's not a matter of who's the best. It's like, if you're playing, want to be the best. And whoever works the hardest, they get that opportunity to pretty much get another game, you know, to play. And for us, a real hooper, we don't dress up and look good. We play because we want to get W's. You know, I want buckets. I want W's. I want you to know at the end of the day that you got your ass whooped, and we'll see you tomorrow for part 2. So that was kind of the competitive nature. And me, I'm a fighter. I'm a competitor. So I always have to rise to the occasion for the next opportunity, in spite of whatever potential injuries or adversities or the traumas or struggles or just life, you know. Now, ironically, Ben Wallace, who played for Detroit Pistons, he played on the team in 1992. So in 1991, 92, I was a part of the team that I finished. And I had full scholarship to go to St. Louis, but I was taking 29 credits, college credits in the summer course, which was unheard of. I was the first and only person who did, but I failed one course because I just burned out. You know, it was a math one-funded course. I couldn't figure it out. You know, it was just like mentally done. So when that happened, I went to basketball camp in California for junior college players, what's they call the David and Dan Pump. The Pump brothers, family part owners of Inlet Gear Shoes, went out there to a showcase. The rec shop dominated. Got all kind of blessed opportunities. Came back to Cleveland. One of my closest teammates and friends passed away in a horrible car wreck. We were playing the hooping up 3-on-3. And ironically, I won the 3-on-3 for Reebok, 1991. Coop the Hoop, Las Vegas. And I remember Dominique Wilkins and D. Brown. You know, I was real cool with those guys and getting us our trophy. But, you know, it was, you know, competition began. We want to play. The opportunity to play. Basketball was that gift that Yahuwah gave me. You know, I had other gifts. I played soccer, played football, played college soccer at Tri-C in 92. In my redshirt year, which is the year I sat out, was selected as All-American, had opportunities to go pro. But they only play $700 in the U.S. a month. Then I'm thinking like, listen, you know, I grew up with a family and a father that's very financially successful. We started from the ground up, my whole family of entrepreneurs and creators and community folks and part of the revolution, if you will, Black Panthers, etc. So I was not stupid when it came to money. So I understood $700 a month, you got $1 million machine, man, stop this. We didn't play with, because I make that money playing a game. One game in the projects with the dope boys and I'll really get my money. So I talked to the team owners of that day and I said, you know, you guys you're not paying me like you're paying the other players. Well, you're an amateur, I'm a player and I know my work. So I've always known my work. Now, if I'd have chose to play, right, then I would have chosen to play for $700 a month, which in this era, like now, that would be considered a decent amount of money. That's $1,000, a little under $1,000, which we got maybe 14,000 rand a month. People play for that, and I honor that because I've grown magnanimously. But no, in America, $700 a month, that's doctors, slave wages. I'm illiterate. Sure. So I finished and I got a scholarship to go play at University of Pittsburgh in Johnston. And the coach saw me on a scout report from the camp that I went to in California, the pump camp. Brett Vincent, he was the coach who recognized me, who was also my coach at five-star basketball camp in high school, where I was an all-star 2 years in a row. And that's the top basketball camp in America. And I was so small, was a really small put. So when Brett recognized me, he told the coach at Pitt Johnstown, they said, hey, you know, I know this guy. This is one of the best players in the country. He's unsigned. Let's get him. So Coach Work, his name, Coach Bob Cabina, came down to Cleveland. We were playing open gym at Cleveland State. I was there playing against the 86 and 87 Sweet 16 Division I NCAA team for players. Kenny McFadden, Mouse McFadden, Kenny Robertson, Kenny was the number one steals leader in NCAA D1. That's been tops in the history of the game. There was Clinton Smith, ex-NBA player. It was just a slew of NBA guys and former players. That particular day, we won 10 games out of 10. I mean, I wrecked the court. Coach threw it out of the other attempts like I'm signing so I signed my scholarship in the open gym. These are the breeding spaces for creative opportunities. And then from there, like, the dream is always to go to the league. Like, in my mind, even now, if I was physically fit and able, I'd go make another run. Now, the reality is, as a player, no. And there's a reason for that, but I'm sure we'll dive into that a bit. But once I graduated from Pitt, then I turned pro. And started to chase the vision, which I spoke briefly about. So that's just a nutshell. Just a little picture, just to the basketball.
Cool. That's amazing. And what inspired you to come to South Africa? And how was the flight? What do you think was the difference with the NP and also basketball set up with every stuff?
So that's a really loaded question. It's like a pizza, and it needs a lot of fixing on it. Let me try to piece this thing together. I always had the dream and vision to be in the NBA. And I knew that I was going to play in the NBA. I'm always going to be a star. But I never chased the NBA to be a star. Well, okay, I don't believe, I grew up a tough person. So famous people were all day, every day, and they were just irritating. Like, I seen folks getting high on cocaine. I seen folks doing pills and drugs, but then they're millionaires and I've seen this. And I've seen them show up to work on money, doing the job. I've seen rich folks beating on their wives and, all type of stuff in that world. And then they put on the cameras and the lights and you never know. So it wasn't something that impressed me. I never wanted to be famous, to care less. But what I did want to do was to have an opportunity to be seen and heard for what I love. And that was, I always also had a spiritual reasoning and dream to be in Holy Land. But it wasn't the Israel Holy Land. That's not the original Holy Land.
True.
I know they say it was.
True.
But this is Akibilan. This is Africa. This is the ancestral point of origin, the Khoisan of the first nation of humankind. Science tribe.
Awesome.
They taught us, and I've learned these things over life and travel, that South Africa was south. In actuality, it's the Garden of Eden, which makes it north. Due north, Zuluta, which is a military term. Zulu.
Yes.
So I learned that even going to Cape Town, it's just something sacred here. That is, it's not something you can really speak in a harmonious language that is what we know today. When I came here, I had 2 phone numbers, and I was at NBA Summer League in Cleveland because of pro-ams. All over the country, the NBA players come and play from city to city. I was in the Summer League. I was that day having a game off. And ironically, the next day, I think I was playing against Bobby Sewer and Brevin Knight and some of those other guys. But this particular day, I was watching the games. One of my buddies, Darren Cooper, and Coop played for Derda and the PBF, which is a pure basketball. And I said, "What's up, Coop?" Because in our network, Hooper's always, "Hey, what you got going on? Where you playing?" Like, it's a network, so we always looked up. "Where you playing?" "Oh, bro, I'm overseas in South Africa." "What? South Africa got basketball?" Because, we were educated, but not educated about Africa. But the folks over there used to teach, and some of the other folks to be politically honored, well, I'll just say folks that were trying to stay above everybody else. Taught us that Africa was poor. It was nothing. So, Americans, we really don't go looking beyond. In that timeline, I used to stay, but it was more anthropological. It wasn't really, okay, what's the story? Because Africa is like UNICEF. They show you babies with the bellies and why. I used to get pissed off with that. Now look at
Yeah.
some of my friends are from other countries, so when we just basketball, we didn't talk a lot. We just get on the court and play. Basketball was 8 hours a day of my life, and that's just regular work hours, including school, personal thing, etc. Work. I used to work in the streets and nightclubs, do security. So, basketball, that was like primary. So when I saw my man Coop, I'm like, bro, like, what you got a hookup? Who you know? You got some connects. Gave me 2 phone numbers. Well, I said, all right, bet. Now, from my journey, I had a box with stouts, contacts, etc. Well, I put those 2 numbers in the box, and then a lot of life happened at that point. I called those 2 numbers, and the first number I called them, they was like, bruh, we'll call you back. And I'm like, man, whatever. I already know better than that. that call you back is like, it's like, yeah, whatever, chief, take a good ride. And at that point in time, I had just months before lost my daughter, Tatiana, or the 2 days from now, will actually be the day she passed. Thank you. But she was born on February 9th, 1997. So 1997, I was playing with the Harlem Kings, and we went to Toronto, did a big competition, came back to Cleveland. That's when I dumped from the foul line at the Castle. And people like, how's this guy doing? Just, it's part of the blessing. And I went through all the grief of that, lost my apartment, lost my car. Well, I sold the car because I needed the money because I just mentally couldn't put it together. So pretty much my daughter passed in my hands. Her mother, we split. So basically it never came off. So I ate crow, for months. And then basketball kind of, kicked me back out. I opened that box and I called those 2 numbers. And I called a second number and I get on the phone, Albert McQuinna. Dr. Albert McQuinna, now the chairman of the BNL. His executive assistant was named Otto. So Otto answers the phone and he's like, yes, who is this? This is Rick Gates. I said, who is this? He says, I'm Otto. I said, I'm trying to reach the owner of the Soweto basketball Panthers team. And he said, okay. I said, who am I speaking with? Or is there someone I could talk to about playing on this team? So then I get Mr. McQuinn on the phone. And I said, how you doing, sir? I'm Renaldo. They call me Rip Gates. I'm calling you because I want to play for your team. What can I do to get you tapes, documents, whatever, to show you who I am? But I know that I can play for your team. I know playing for your team, I'll make your team away. There's no question about it. So he said, let me call you back. And I'm like, all right, here we go with this nonsense. That's famous. They're going to call you back. Well, now I've been through the top of the food chain with that. So I'm like, all right, cool. So then he calls right back. And Otto gets on the phone. He says, Mr. McQuinna wants to know if you'd be willing to go to an All-Star game. And they get a chance to meet. I'm like, of course. But me, I was so disconnected from basketball. I wasn't watching or playing basketball at that time. I was just trying to survive the death. So he says, we'll buy you a ticket. All right, cool. I'm excited. I go to check your ticket, no ticket. So full figure, I'm sitting there like, man, this dude been playing with me. I lost my shoe. I call him Doc. Otto gets on the phone and say, yo, my man, if you're going to lie to me about buying the ticket, why play with my life? Why? I said, what kind of shit is this? And just like that. And I hear Dr. McQuinn in the background in a strange language, because I've never really heard it talk like this. They need to think this. And he was chowing this dude, like, and then Otto comes back and says, Mr. McQuinn says he apologizes. He wants to know if you'd be willing to catch a train. I said, of course. But I'm not, train, automobile. It don't matter to me. Then I went and said, what is the All-Star game? Because I thought maybe Gauchos cheer, which is in New York. Remember, I wasn't connected to basketball. I didn't realize the All-Star NBA weekend was active. Sent the ticket.
I go for India also weekend. In that part, I got was the and the blessed thing with that is that when I met this brother, this is my big brother, it's my mentor. Then he was my friend. He talked to me about real teeth. And he says, no, you're definitely going to play for us. And then we had a meeting. And this one is special.
Wow.
We meet David Stun, commissioner of the NBA,
Okay.
with his wife. I think her name was Diane. Phil Hubbard walks up on the conversation. Phil took us to Las Vegas when we won the pre-on-pre in 1991 with Reebok. He was my coach. He played in the NBA, played for the Cavs, coach of International at second from Canton, McKinley, Ohio. Phil is from the homeland.
Sure.
Then my buddy Steve Ersman, who played for OU, and he works for, at the time, worked for Coca-Cola, but he played with me in the Pro-Am, and we grew up together, went to the same Catholic school. But he's really young. He's late now. He passed a little bit a year ago, back home. But his dad was our coach, Hal, the person. And there was an attorney, Mel Banchek, who was a sports agent and criminal. So you see the fabric of this thing? David says, Rip, we've known you since you were a kid. There's nothing that happens in the basketball world that we, the NBA, do not know. Well, by the way, there's a guy in Cleveland who, Tiger Woods, I've heard of him, I really wasn't. He's following golf for how long? He's come out Cal Pete's first golfer in professional golf. And he says, this guy's been watching me. I actually knew you, who, Andre Wheeler from Brush High School, which is in South Euclid, which is just down the road from University Heights, which is right next to Cleveland, which is a Hebrew community that's all the way down the pipe.
So it's not in Hebrew Israelite to work, right?
No.
It's like in the Hebrew review of me for musician.
So his name is Mark Steinberg. Now, Mark is Tiger Woods' age. He worked for IMG in the National Management Group, and he worked for a late amazing guy, McCormick was his eyesight. So they had IMG. And as I'm talking to this and I'm getting chills, and Steve's like, what the hell, bro? What are you doing here? And David says, well, he's playing for basketball. We were sending him to South Africa. So I was sitting here by David Stern and Albert McQuillan for Sam Vincent to watch me play, to report back to David Stern if I was official to play in the NBA. So Sam and our coach, Sam goes on to South Africa, was coaching the team. Cape Town, and say Cape Town Eagles at the time. Sam's wife is from here as well. And it was special. Sam went on to be the head coach of the Charlotte Bobcats for Michael Jordan. So I worked at basketball camp in 1992 in Cleveland. Charles Oakley was my mentors, the Douglas in Cleveland. And then Jeff Warren was my Billy College for the college. He was the Wallace of defense. Then came to Cleveland and do Oakland with Jack. Okay. Then he went on to go with Virginia, which was D2. I went to DPJ, which is D1, D2, and 20. And we knocked out play against each other. But you see how Babbitt and Neck can match the ball is? And it's a divine book. It's not some of the people, the powerful language. So I come to South Africa after that encounter, and Dr. McQuillan, man, listen, that's my big brother, love him beyond. And then I dived into a bit about what happened with the bench. Wow, I stopped. And then it seats. But David says, Rick, when you go to South Africa, I trust you, but in India. When you're done, you'll have a job in India.
No.
So you don't just get to come into this world. I was in the room with everybody here. Well, I was hanging out with Mutombo. You have to go, you know, and I've seen a lot of these brothers in the pro-am circuits and the pro summer leagues that I was playing in Kansas, the NBA camps, in Cali, the NBA camps, you know. So people knew I could have me because I was smart enough to understand how to manage my own acting, which is a problem for some people because in certain networks you go to it again. So I was being taught the game by gamers who were working and functioning in the game. It wasn't my game, but I had to play the game. So once that took place, came to South Africa, and I was really, you know, nervous for a while, and Dr. McQuinna and sent me a book, and it said at the bottom, trust the process. God is in charge. Follow the steps, and it will happen. And those are not exact words, but kind of the premise of that. And that book had pictures of South Africa that I'd never seen. Then pictures about you. Yes. So when I came, it flew me over, and I won't go into logistics of what it paid me, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a little. And it was more than everybody on my team. Now, I will say that Dr. McQuinna ended up spending probably over $1 million on me in medical bills. And took care of my life. So, June 7th, 1998, and I was playing fairly well in the league. That goes in the top in scoring, top in assists, top in steals. There were other Americans here, other Indian players that were here. There were DuBose, Patterson, Shida, Alaska. I mean, I could just go through the list of these brothers, man. As the best players, there were Petrovic family brothers. There was a bunch of balls. Just in basketball, here was elite. And you weren't talking Turkey and Europe. It was South African fellas in South Africa PBF. Crazy story, man. June 7th in Pietermaritzburg. We came down on a train and we played Durban on Friday night against Darrington. I think I had 35 or 38 on the ends. I just fought the one again. And they were winning the champs in the fourth. Synergy, man. Yeah, I remember they did a big interview with me after the game. It's my first interview because I really just didn't do a panel. It's ironic. So when that happened, right? Saturday, we rested and we hung out. It was beautiful. First time in Durban, or Simi Ocean. And Sunday came, and we went to the Maris. Now, Pietermaritzburg and Soweto, we had a bloodbath. We had a hatred to each other. And competitive. It was like the Pistons when they had the melee. It was vicious. Modi Cox, and Kelvin Rollins, and Flosh. Who else is in that team? Oh, Flosh. Wow, yeah. So we go way back. These are my brothers, man, you know. So I'm close with Modi now. You're close with Kelvin. Close with Flosh. Coop was at the game. Our team, which was Billy Banda, Agriofu, Mamba, Sifo, Tipo, Vusi, Bernard, Coach for Zoran Zubcevic. It was Bonyface. I mean, my brothers, man, my brothers in war. In the locker room before the game. And, you know, when we got there, I was standing out behind their ribbon. There was a river. And there were some armies in the river, some Rogos washing clothes of the rock. I remember standing in the rocks and I'm looking at these things and I'm like, I lost time, I lost face, I lost I didn't know where the hell I was at. Everything didn't make sense. So then they were calling me in the doorway at the rim. I didn't hear for like 5 minutes. Okay, game time. So I come in and everybody's in the locker room, changed almost, so they're singing gospel songs. So back then I had started a church and we'd had church every week. We stayed in Nashville, Canada. No, so we'd have 77 each. But that day, something crazy happened. In the game, it was vicious. It was fight to every twist. The temperature in the arena was hot. The floor was sweating.